when it comes to looking after our mental, emotional, and spiritual health, when it comes to nurturing our relationship with ourselves and consequently our relationship with others, and when it comes to creating a sense of purpose, meaning, and fulfillment in life. There are a whole host of tools available which can really create a greater sense of groundedness and awareness. And yet, oftentimes, I feel like as if we think these things are outside of our grasp. And I think the commercialization of a lot of these techniques has really kind of led us to believe that they're very complicated. And this isn't necessarily so. I mean, I firmly believe that we all have the capacity to self regulate, that we all have an innate kindness and love inside of us, that we all have the capability of being present and grounded and mindful. And we just need a little bit of a lead telling us how to implement it on a day to day basis. And it's not that it needs to be something that has to kind of take over our lives. It's very much small little incremental changes that can make a significant difference to your overall life experience and the way in which you interpret the world. And as I said, it doesn't always have to involve a whole lot of money. There is so much valuable content available on the internet. And again, assuming that it's something that it's difficult to apply or something that you need to attend a 3-day course for is really very misleading for people, because it can be very straightforward. You just need to be committed and willing. And I think when we're feeling anxious and depressed or we're unhappy with our lives, we tend to want a panacea. We want a guaranteed solution. We want something very glamorous, a magic wand to be waved. And unfortunately, that's just not practical nor pragmatic nor possible. So we need to recognize that oftentimes a lot of the things that will really change our overall experience of our lives require discipline, and there's a lot of drudgery and commitment involved. And it's basically just remembering to focus on what it is that is happening at any given moment, bringing yourself back into the present, trying to see things from a very kind perspective. Try to tap into your internal voice, try to listen to your emotions and try to regulate them, and just create a greater awareness of your internal experience and the way in which you can either be reactive or responsive to what goes on in your life. And this can make a huge change in your life. Now, I know it sounds simplistic talking about it, but initially it can be really challenging, particularly if you have spent a lifetime coming up with ways of repressing your emotions. However, with the help of a professional, this can be something that you can begin to integrate in your day-to-day life. But it's also something that you can start doing even if you're not ready to do the work with a professional at any given time. Just tapping into what it is that you're really experiencing and trying to be kind to yourself in that moment. And it's all just about sitting with the self and creating awareness and asking yourself, is there a possibility I can see this from another perspective? Because again, our default mode is to go into rumination, and we tend to attach ourselves to feeling bad. We hold on to our anger, we hold on to our resentment, we hold on to kind of all of these negative feelings in the hope that somehow they're going to disappear if we just kind of regurgitate them over and over. And yet so much about kind of the healing process is about letting things be and letting things go, and just recognizing our tendency towards the compelling aspect of rumination and negativity, and making a conscious choice to move towards hope and a newer perspective, and seeing things in a more benevolent light, and being grateful for what you have in front of you, and recognizing your feelings and your experience in as compassionate a way as possible. And it's just day by day. It's basically trying to create awareness as frequently as possible. And this can be done in little 10, 20, 30-second brackets. You don't have to meditate for 10 minutes every day if you don't have the room for that at the moment. But it's just about every so often bringing yourself back into your body, asking yourself, What am I feeling right now emotionally? What am I experiencing physiologically? Am I feeling tenseness or tightness or, kind of any sort of tension within the body? What am I thinking? Where are my thoughts? And are those thoughts helpful or beneficial? If I'm feeling negative emotions, can I be kind to myself in that? If I am thinking negative thoughts, can I think a little bit kinder? And it's not about avoidance, nor is it about trying to implement or kind of, whitewash everything with a positive light. It's about being with where you are and asking yourself if you can possibly switch your focus a little bit to something that is more beneficial and less hurtful, because so much of our rumination is actually painful to us. And the more we can recognize that we are oftentimes causing ourselves so much hurt, the more we can come out of that kind of very wounded ego space and begin to contribute as the potential people that we all are. Because when we're in that place of pain, when we're in that place of resentment, unfortunately, all we're thinking about is our own experience. Whereas if we can tend to our wounds and do the healing work and implement these practices so that we just become a little bit more aware and conscious and present and grounded day by day by day, recognizing that we're never going to be perfect, but that we can just enhance our experience by recognizing where we're at and then finding ways to be decent human beings. And again, nothing feels better in the world than being nice and kind and forgiving. It just makes us feel good, and that's what we should be working towards, as opposed to focusing on kind of seeing how we measure up in comparison to everybody else, because that's what we tend to do, and kind of seeing how much other people have as opposed to what we have, and always kind of being in that defensive, wary, comparative place that is just so painful for us, and it's kind of just recognizing that we have the choice. We have the choice about where our mind goes, and we have the choice about how it is that we live our lives. And if you want to live a better life, then you have to start acting like it. You have to start pushing these practices in place, but you don't have to go to university to know how to implement them. Again, they're simple. It's just about being awake, being aware, recognizing the ways in which you sometimes are not helping yourself, and every single time just seeing if you can turn things around. And that's basically all it's about. It's just about being real in your experience and being as kind to yourself in that experience as possible, but not always kind of looking for escape, not always looking for a solution, just holding a belief that things will be okay if you just tolerate what is now. I hope everyone is enjoying their day. I shall talk to you again soon.